What fact totally changed your perspective? There are real life castles that are less expensive to buy than a New York City apartment. You can actually get a free castle in France as long as you can provide a plan for how to keep up with upkeep of the castle so that it won't become a ruin. Among several TV shows about castles in France, I remember hearing about people who just couldn't afford to keep the castle they already owned. Not because of taxes or mortgages, just upkeep costs. We judge others on their actions, but ourselves on our intentions. I remember reading that the right question to ask is not am I a good person? It's what good do I do in the world? When I started thinking about it that way, I realized I wasn't actually a very good person. Between this and OP, I've realized I really need to re-evaluate a lot of things. 1000 seconds equals 16 minutes, 1 million seconds equals 11 days, 1 billion seconds equals 32 years. I don't believe you. I'm going to start counting right now to fact check this. I will report my findings when I have finished. Remind me in 32 years. You have an increased chance of getting murdered or committing suicide if you win it big in the lottery. And I think the chances are increased quite dramatically. Sure. But the chances start out fairly small. So even a massive increase can still leave you with a fairly small chance. Most people are too wrapped up in their own lives and insecurities to focus on your little stumbles. Try to think of other people's embarrassing moments. It's actually quite hard to do. And if I do think of something, I don't dwell on it or give it more than a fleeting thought. It's usually no big deal. It's kind of nice to know that no one really gives a shit and maybe that one cringy thing I once said isn't actually that big of a deal. Related note, when I realized that I would never talk to someone the way I talk to myself. It was a little light bulb moment. Self-compassion is a long road. Edit. To thank you for the golden to say. I'm sorry that not everyone is kind and that some of you are stuck in environments where people do make you feel small. I'm not discounting that or saying that it doesn't happen. I just think that it's maybe part of a different conversation. I'm also not endorsing not giving a duck about other people. My whole and only intention was just to nudge you in the direction of being a bit gentler on yourself. Related note, when I realized that I would never talk to someone the way I talk to myself. It was a little light bulb moment. Self-compassion is a long road. I learned to treat myself the way I treat my nieces. When they make a mistake, do I talk down to them? Nope. I encourage them to do better next time. Do I ever call them out of their name for any reason? Nope. So I can't do that to myself. Do I constantly point out their flaws to them and make them feel bad about them? Nope. So I'm also not allowed to do that to myself. And so on. It changed my life for the better. It gets hard sometimes. But then I have to realize I can't be a bully to myself. It's not fair to me and I don't deserve that. When I realized that I would never talk to someone the way I talk to myself. It was a little light bulb moment. Self-compassion is a long road. You might have just changed my life for the better. I honestly really appreciate this. Time doesn't stop. That speech I'm about to give in front of my class and I'm sweating balls over. In the next 2 minutes. It's going to be done with. 2 minutes is 2 minutes. This has helped me so very much in life. I always tell myself the same thing. This time tomorrow. It'll be in the past. A distant memory. I've just got to get through it. But it will be over. I hope your speech went well. Not really a fact but good advice. Never argue with a fool. A stranger walking by won't be able to tell the difference. Edit. The prevalence of Redditors who think JZ invented this saying is too damn high. Sort of related. Churchill said that a fanatic was someone who will not change their mind. And cannot change the subject. From Jim Carrey. You can fail at something you don't want to do. So you might as well follow your dreams. That really spoke to me and inspired me to write music again. The longest a nicotine craving will last is 180 seconds. That means all I need to do is resist for 3 minutes. My last cigarette was the 25th of January 2008. The 21st of July 2014. Stay strong. You've still got this. Do you still even want them? After about 2 years my friends all smoke right in front of me and I don't even care anymore. Once the feeling better sets in I never had the urge to go back. Majority can be wrong. Very wrong. Changed my outlook on the world completely. I wondered why Lord of the Flies was a major literature in my grade 6 year. I was too young then to care, but eventually it started to make sense. Democracy done in haste, decisions for a short-term benefit made by uninformed masses and swayed by charismatic leaders or just unknown fears can be destructive, sometimes tragic. I learned that one while reading To Kill a Mockingbird. I have time to waste on Reddit. Then my life is not that bad. Greetings from the land of the money poor. Time rich. If there's one thing I've learned about myself, it's that I'd rather have a lot of time than a lot of money. As long as I'm not actually poor, meaning that I can buy food and pay my bills without having to stress it, I'm pretty content. Having to save a bit to buy something is fine by me. I once did work a lot and earn a lot of money, compared to now at least, but I was really unhappy because I never had enough time to do what I wanted. I'm capable of being entirely convinced of something false. As a result, anything I'm convinced of doesn't necessarily reflect reality. The one thing we all had in common is that we all think we're right. Now you've gone and ducked it up. Example of being mutually beneficial. Giant tarantulas keep tiny frogs as pets. The tarantula protects the frog from predators, and the frogs, in turn, eat insects that could possibly harm the tarantula's eggs. Symbiotic relationship. How strong gravity is at a neutron star? If you were to stand on top of one, you'd be flattened at the subatomic level. What's really cool is that it wouldn't just crush you. It would crush you so hard that the molecules that make up your body would stop obeying what we typically think of as fundamental laws of particles. Everyone goes on about black holes. Neutron stars are cool as shit. Black holes are just eerie. Oxford University was founded before the Aztec Empire. Edit. U/Clee it said. It's important to note, it's only the second oldest continuously operating non-religious university. It's also older than the Mongol Empire, the fall of the Byzantine Empire, and was founded 300 years before the Europeans rounded South Africa. Though I think people confuse the Aztec Empire with Mesoamerican civilization, which is far older. The Aztec Empire had barely formed by the time the Spanish arrived. Pretty sure my brain slipped a gear reading this. Thanks. That's super cool. That a simple interaction with a stranger can make their day. Or yours. If you shuffle a standard deck of cards, it is most likely the only time that sequence of cards has ever been shuffled in the history of cards. I am not a very good shuffler. The statistics of this boggle my mind. Though I do wonder what the odds are of creating a unique order from shuffling a fresh ordered deck of cards exactly once. It would have to be much lower, I'd imagine. The pyramids of Giza were about as old to the ancient Romans as the ancient Romans are to us right now. Really shows how short human history has been. I find that including the name Cleopatra can help drive the point home further, since that and Tut are the names often associated with ancient Egypt. There was more time between Cleopatra's life and the construction of the pyramids than between Cleopatra's life and today. Also, the same fact applies to the T-Rex. We are closer to the T-Rex than the T-Rex was to the Stegosaurus. While we're here, Cleopatra was Macedonian, not Egyptian, though there's apparently some new research suggesting her mother was sub-Saharan African. Also, she was inbred as Fuuak. It took mankind 4 times longer to switch from copper swords to steel swords than to switch from steel swords to nuclear bombs. Wi-Fi being down during the presentation I thought I nailed. Don't be ridiculous. That is why you nailed it. We can't say no to someone with balls that big. There are planets out there without suns. planets that are hurtling through space in absolute total darkness. Imagine being there. When people drive drunk in the countryside, they'll sometimes drive without lights on in order to avoid being spotted in the distance by cops. I feel like there's a comparison to be made between these people and your hurtling planets. This fact is super relevant to tomorrow. Martin Luther King Jr. and Anne Frank were born the same year. Blows my mind whenever I think of it. Edit. I wrote this on Sunday. Just to clarify the tomorrow comment. Abraham Lincoln and Charles Darwin were both born on the 12th of February 1809. Can't remember exactly where I saw this. But the first Western movies filmed in Hollywood were made around 1915. When the industry moved there. At the time, much of the area outside of Los Angeles was ranchland and there were still some sizable cattle drives going on. Directors would hire actual cowboys for a pittance to train horses or be extras. Basically, they made movies fantasizing these big cattle drives and gunfights as American history. While people who had actually done all those things IRL were chilling in the background. Balto only ran the last leg of the route. The dog that ran the longest and most treacherous parts of the route, and at night, was named Togo. Balto toured the US as a hero, but couldn't be bred because he was neutered. Togo's owner was pissed Balto got so much attention. And then his story got out and Togo got to tour the US. And was bred like crazy. So most huskies are descendants of the greatest sled dog in history. Thanks for sharing this. Was an interesting read. Can't wait for the movie though. A film adaptation about Togo's efforts is being produced by Disney for their streaming service. Willem Dafoe will star in the film as Leonard Sapala, the owner of Togo. Principal production on the film will occur from the 24th of September 2018 to February 2019 in Calgary. So how is Disney going to portray the bred like crazy part of the story? Edit. Probably a montage. Maybe the people that you think you don't like them. A lot of people think I hate them. Truth is, I have a hard time opening up to people, so I push them away even though I do like them. A lot of people think I hate them. I just have social anxiety and don't want to talk to anyone. I don't understand people that think I'm weird for wanting peace and quiet. Edit. I commented this while drinking last night and had no idea it would get this much attention. I just wanna add that I do have close friends that I love dearly. And I force myself to spend time with them even though it's hard sometimes. I more meant that my neighbors and people that I meet out in public usually think I'm weird because I avoid new interactions. The reason I made the peace and quiet comment is because recently, a neighbor's kid came to our door and asked us if he could shovel the snow from our driveway and told us that people in the neighborhood think we're mean because we don't talk to anyone. This struck me as odd because 1, I bought a house with my husband so we could have space and privacy, and 2, we do the normal nod to acknowledge when passing neighbors and I'm not sure what else they want. Am I supposed to knock on their damn door to talk to them about nothing? My husband and I prefer to keep to ourselves, and as adults probably have less in common with most of them as we have no kids, lot of kids in our neighborhood. There are many schools nearby, and spend a lot of time indoors playing video games and the like. I just think people are too quick to judge without knowing a person. Also, I'd like to add that I just recently visited a psychiatrist and am currently seeking assistance with my anxiety. Thank you to everyone who commented. And please, if you meet someone who acts different than you'd expect, try to consider what they might be going through. You never know what a person is dealing with. Also, sorry for format on mobile. Best comment of the day. I threw away my TV and cut the cable. Netflix, Amazon. Now when I get home from work there is nothing to see, so I have time to clean around the house, do some work that need to be done, painting, fencing, etc. Since I don't watch TV anymore, I've done a lot of projects around my house. I have time to work out, time to cook, time to play with the kids, etc. A day has 24 hours. We sleep 8, work 8. What do you do with the rest 8 hours? Still don't have time to exercise?